Afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Wasn't going to do this update, guys. I was kind of taking the weekend off, but we saw this major move here, and I wanted to just tell you guys, or just send out a quick video to say, be careful. I told you guys last time price was getting squeezed tighter and tighter here, getting closer to the apex, and we were expecting a move as it reached this area here. Now we did just see that move. We saw price literally inside of about 60 seconds rise from about 65.90 all the way up to about 67.42, and then have a very strong rejection. The bulls just the bears just rejected this thing very hard. Now I told you if price broke up that this was the area about 6750. This was the area that we would expect it to find resistance. Sure enough, that's exactly where it happened. Didn't quite make it up there, about $8 shy, but still broke right back down. And price as of right now is just kind of sitting here right on top of this descending resistance line here, and I can honestly see this thing going in either direction, guys. If I come over here and I look at longs, this is obviously longs on BTC. We're seeing longs start to stack. And that was all happened based on that larger move. If we look at shorts, pardon me, shorts remain unfazed for the most part, guys. A slight uptick, but mostly unfazed. If this was a stop hunt, it didn't. Trying to liquidate short positions, it clearly didn't work. I do believe short positions have all their stop losses above at least 6950. More than likely sitting at about 7,000, somewhere thereabouts. A good majority of them anyway. Why 7,000? Because that is that's the zone that price would have to break above to break this bearish trend that we've been in since basically since January. Remember, if we go swing high, swing low, that's the 618 fib level that I've told you guys about many times. That's the area that price keeps coming up, creating a swing high, goes down to the low, retraces back up to the 618 fib, and breaks right back down. That's been the case since January, and if we can break above that zone, that would break that trend. For now, guys, obviously we're nowhere near there, but that's the area that we need to that market makers, I think, would have to take the price up to liquidate those short positions. So this may have been a test to try to see where those short positions are, and they could just reverse this thing right back around. That being said, it really wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to reverse price back around to try to take out these long positions. Why do I say that? Because shorts still outweigh longs. Not significantly, but enough to where if they do end up driving price down, a lot of retail is going to make out. And remember, guys, this is a game, a zero-sum game. If for you to make money, someone else has to lose money, and vice versa. So I don't know that would be the best play for them. That being said, price is sitting right on top of what was this descending resistance line, the upper part of the wedge. It is still sitting on top of that, guys. It's now acting as support. If I zoom in here to the 5-minute chart, we can see price broke above, came back down, and is now just literally just hovering right on top of that zone. Pardon me. Which is very interesting. Normally, I would like to see a price come back up, come back down, retest the resistance area, should then act as support, and then bounce right back up. That's typically how a healthy breakout goes. That may end up playing out that way. This is still fairly new, but as of right now, I can honestly see this thing going in either direction. If it does break down, I'm going to be watching this 6540 support right down here, guys. This has acted as support and resistance many times in the past. It's an extremely relevant zone. If price does break down back into this wedge, as long as it stays above 6540, I'm going to be okay with that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see price break back down, hit that 6540, and then impulse right up from there. That's a real possibility. Pardon me. If 6540 does break down, guys, that's going to be a rather bearish indication. I would expect this 6550 or 6450 zone right down here to possibly act as support. However, if with this major move here, I wouldn't be surprised if 6540 breaks down for us to quickly fall back down to at least 6380, somewhere thereabouts. Looking at this from a bearish point of view, well, let's start with the bullish case. Looking at this from a bullish point of view, guys, clearly price is still hovering right above what was resistance, now acting as support. As long as that holds, that'd be a bullish sign. We also have, if I go swing low, swing high from this smaller microstructure here, well, I should say what was the prior swing high right here before we had this breakout. We can see that price came back down. This wick came back down and tested right, or bounced, I should say, right here off the 618 fib, actually just barely inside the gold pocket between the 618 and the 65, and then just bounced right up from there. That's a very technical, very bullish place for price to bounce. And of course, we're now seeing some of that follow through. That would be the case for the bulls. If this thing can continue up, that would make a lot of sense. That being said, this is a very strong rejection, as I told you guys. This, if this looks like a possible reversal. So in other words, we could have just, this may have set a new swing high, and at that point we'd be coming back down for the swing low. Why do I say that? Well, obviously we have this very long wick, which is very, that's clearly that's the obvious thing. But if I come in here and I go to the prior swing high to swing low, what do we have? We have a perfect hit, I mean almost to the dollar, off the 786 fib level. So again, guys, we have a lot of structure in this market to continue the possible downtrend that we've been in. Not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying until we break above at least above 6750 and start consolidating above that zone, I'm going to be very skeptical of this move, guys. Very skeptical. I'm not entering any trades at the moment. I can see this thing possibly just collapsing. Doesn't mean that's going to happen. Just means I'm taking a hands-off approach until we have some more clarity on which direction that market makers are taking this. One of the things that also makes me, or another thing I should say that makes me very uncomfortable, if we come in here and we look at our volume, volume is very, very weak. We're still sitting at 3.6 billion. I guess I'm a little dyslexic today. Sitting at 3.6 billion for the day. That's extremely bearish, obviously. That's just no volume at all to speak of, really. So this thing truly could just get, which means market makers really have free reign to take this thing anywhere, any direction they'd like. Looking at the daily chart, I've got the daily MACD up. We can see that the daily MACD continues to get squeezed tighter and tighter inside this larger wedge. Again, ignore the signal line and the trend line here, this blue and orange line. Just looking at the histogram, we can see this. For those that don't know, the histogram, just these little red markings here, these little red shape. As they get squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter, again, as it approaches the apex, you'd expect a larger move. Now, that larger move that we just saw, if that was it, if this was the move and then it just sits here and consolidates and starts moving sideways, it's going to be extremely anticlimactic. I really would like to see some closure here. Now, we do have a larger wedge. If this thing falls back into this wedge period here, guys, we do have a larger wedge based on these two little wicks down here that price may come to and may end up impulsing up from there. So we could see it drop back down into this larger wedge here, and at that point come to the apex of this wedge here. We've got like a wedge within a wedge, as I've told you guys about numerous times, and this really is where I'd like to see a major breakout to the upside. If we can get price to continue to consolidate and continue to get squeezed tighter and tighter to where it approaches this apex, I do think a more impulsive move would be a lot more likely. That being said, even though we did break out of this wedge temporarily here, the bears pushed it right back down. We did not establish a new high. We're still continuing that trend of a series of lower highs, higher lows. That has not been broken yet. And until that gets broken, guys, we are still technically consolidating, getting squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter. So let's wait and see how this plays out. Again, I'm not entering any positions at the moment until I get some clarity on which direction market makers are taking this. If I come over here and I look at the daily RSI, daily RSI, again, getting squeezed tighter and tighter. We did get a small little breakout here. That's not uncommon. We had a small little breakout here, came right back in. This is not, I would not call this a decisive break at all, but let's wait and see how this plays out. It may end up being, it may not. But let's see if this trend continues, or if this thing just falls right back in here and starts getting squeezed tighter and within this wedge again. But it is interesting that we did poke our head out above this the RSI, above this wedge here, and of course the market did notice. We can see it right here. The market certainly took notice. Looking at our moving averages and exponential moving averages, we can see that price did end up breaking above the 50-day moving average here. We're on the daily. That's a very bullish sign. I'd like to see price above this 55-day EMA, the pink line here. If price can get above this 55-day EMA and stay above that, obviously it broke above here and got pushed right back down. If we can get above the 55-day EMA and stay above that, guys, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign if that does end up playing out. But at least I'd like to see price stay above this orange line, the 50-day moving average. If it can stay above the 50-day moving average on the daily chart, guys, again, this thing might have legs. That'd be a very bullish sign, and let's wait and see how that plays out. Looking at the 4-hour chart, let me kind of zoom in here. The 4-hour chart's very interesting. We saw the 50-day moving average finally crossed above the 200-day moving average, that purple line here. The orange line, again, is the 50-day. They finally broke above that on the 4-hour chart. That's again a bullish sign of strength. Now, it doesn't mean that's going to end up playing out, guys. Again, we do have this very long wick that we saw here. It's a rather bearish-looking wick. It could have established, as I said, a new swing high. So let's wait and see how that plays out, guys. But as long as price does stay above this 50-day moving average, guys, that's going to be extremely bullish, in my opinion. And again, we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But right now, on the 4-hour, it's looking fairly decent. So on the daily, I need to see price stay above the 50-day moving average, at least, ideally above this 55-day EMA, but above the 50 we'll accept. Sorry, guys, had to pause the video there real quick. Got something in my throat. So yeah, I was saying as long as we stay above the 50-day moving average, I'll accept this thing as a possible continuation to the upside, and I'll believe this thing might have legs. If price does break down below this 21-day EMA, the yellow line here, that's going to be possibly that. Usually on the daily chart, in my opinion, that's the first sign of a possible trend change when price breaks below the 21-day EMA or above the 21-day EMA. So if we do break below it, guys, that's going to be a possible, especially if we close below it, possible sign of a trend change. That's what I'm going to be watching out for. But as I said, guys, for now, as long as we stay above the 50-day moving average, I'm going to believe this thing might end up having legs, and we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, guys, I would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe, have a wonderful weekend, and take care. This is Working, signing out.